Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tardis Zone. This is the Tardis Zone Talks, and I am your host, of course, Noel, or Noel Zone, as people have called me, or other people call me a white supremacist, a bigot, transphobic, homophobic, whatever term you want to use. I don't really give a crap, but welcome anyway. We will have Bowlesrek with us a little bit later on. But he will be here. I've sent emails out to the other lads, so hopefully they will get here in a couple of minutes. But I just want to say to everybody, thank you for tuning in to last night's late night stream. It was a bit off the cuff, but it seems to have went down well with everybody, and people have asked me if I could do more late night streams, because we used to do some late night streams back in the early days, and if I can manage to do it, I will. As you know, though, my time is limited, unfortunately, on StreamYard. I've got the 5 hours I can't afford. Unfortunately, can't afford StreamYard nowadays. Finances with me and Cheryl are pretty fucking bad. While people are celebrating old Donald Trump and the whole tariffs thing, when the stock market crashed, Cheryl lost a shit ton of money. So our finances have been really stretched. So I don't have many. You get 5 hours off StreamYard, so I have to be very careful how I use the 5 hours. So we're gonna try go for about it won't go any further than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, but I'm not going any longer than 2 hours. So we will be finishing, no matter where the conversation's at, we'll be finishing up when that time comes. So I just want to make that clear before we start the stream. So I'll just natter until the lads get here. But we've got people in the chat, so we might as well say hello to those guys there. We've got Garbage in the chat. We've got Nicholas Horton, and we've got, obviously, myself. I don't know why I'm calling myself out. Also, before we start this stream, if you're easily offended, or you have an issue with me, and I'd suggest that you don't watch this stream, to be quite honest with you, because I'm not going to tolerate any more nonsense from anybody out there anymore. If you don't like what I have to say, well, then don't listen to me, right? If you listen to me and you get triggered, that's on you. It's not on me, okay? And whatever I say here on my channel is what I say, and that's the end of it, right? So, as I said, if you get triggered, don't really care. That's on you. I'm just going to stream and do what I've always done, is be straightforward and as blunt as I've been, and I'm going to continue to be that way. I'm not going to compromise my positions or compromise the way I do things just to hope that people don't get triggered. I don't care if you get triggered all you want. And that goes for everybody in the fandom. I'm not aiming that at any particular person. I'm just saying a lot of people have seen, since I've come back, done Doctor Who, seem to be getting triggered by the stuff that I'm saying, right? So that's on you. It's not on me, okay? So grow up, and let's just all do what we do during an era of Doctor Who, and everybody has, as they say, diverse opinions out there. So, get on with it. We've got Matt Jones saves Goru. Yeah, I used to call him Baby Yoda, and I'm still going to call him Baby Yoda, is in the chat. Welcome. 16 watching, come in and say hello. Exactly. Well, there's 18 watching according to StreamYard. But don't, most likely, don't forget to hit the like button, is what I was going to say. And if you could share the stream as well, it all helps with the algorithm and helps me out, to get out there to people. And the thing about it is that the subs have actually jumped up a little bit. They haven't jumped up for a while, but we've gotten a few more people who have recently subscribed to the channel. So whoever you are, welcome. Of course, they could be spies, because we always get a bit of a bump when a new season comes on. People people complain about me, right? they pretend, that they wouldn't watch me, but secretly they all watch me. Yeah. You're watching the master at work, I suppose. And, thank you. I'm only messing. I'm only taking the piss, by the way. Don't take that seriously. I don't have an ego. You know what I mean? I just do what I do. Right. So while I'm waiting on the lads, I suppose, to turn up, hold on, I better tell them. Hold on, there you go. Told them that I've sent them email. We got Super John in the chat. Me and Super John will still do a stream. I know it's probably a bit late to be doing the Titanic stream, but we will squeeze it in because we always do one every year, or we try to anyway, to do one in relation to that. And there was a documentary that Super John picked out, so we will try squeeze that in. Hopefully, when John has the time, he's got stuff to deal with and all that, as we all do, because that's life. We got Lindsay in the chat as well. Welcome, Lindsay. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. While we're waiting, actually, on the guys to pop on, does anybody want to ask me anything or want to highlight something that you want me to talk about? This is your chance now before the guys come on to ask me anything. So, if there's anything you want to talk about, just or want me to talk about, just put it in the chat there while we're waiting on the lads to come on. I better just go onto Instagram as well, just to inform Lee that I've started the bloody stream. Hold on now. So I'm live and emails sent. There you go. Just a simple message there. Right. So while we're waiting on the lads, let's see. Should Bad Wolf be the ones sacked? Bad Wolf, RTD, they all should be sacked, to be quite honest with you. And if I were Disney, I wouldn't waste another penny on this dross. It's not Doctor Who, right? It's not Doctor Who. Did you see the new Fantastic Four trailer? No, I'm actually not a fan of the Fantastic Four, and I haven't watched any of the movies, even the ones years ago. I'm not a fan of Fantastic Four, so to me, I'm just being honest, it looks stupid. And I've seen they've gender swapped the Silver Surfer or whatever you call that character. So no, I'm not a fan. Never have been a fan of the Fantastic Four. So it wouldn't be my type of thing, to be quite honest with you, Nicholas. But if you are a fan, I do know that for a long time, fans of the Fantastic Four have wanted to see a good adaptation on screen. And if I'm correct in saying, the movies that they've done have had a mixed reception over the years. So I hope it does turn out to be a good movie, because you do have dedicated fans like that follow specific or support specific IPs and want them to do well. It's the same with X-Men. Never really was a fan of the X-Men, but I do know that it does have a loyal following. Let me see, we got another question from Lindsay. Do you think they should scrap the spin-off, seeing as the show is failing? Well, no, the spin-off is already in the can. It's already being filmed, so there'll be no way they're going to actually dump it, or scrap it. It will go ahead. Don't be surprised though if after Doctor Who is finished, they might put it out almost straight away. Now that's just my opinion. That's not what I've heard. But no, they'll still put it out because it's after being filmed. The White Wolf. Who would you pick to play the Doctor? And is there a writer you would like to see, Roy, for Doctor Who? Who would I like to play the Doctor now? Do you know, normally I would have a choice. and I'd be able to name a name off straight away. But right now, I don't know who would. First of all, I don't know who would actually take the role after Shooty, because I do think it's a poison chalice now. So for the first time ever, I couldn't give you a name. If you asked me this question 3 years ago, I would have said Richard Ayoade. He was always one that you know, they went, obviously Shooty got the role, but I would have liked to see Richard in I loved him in the IT crowd, and he was also in that movie years ago, The Watch, with Ben Stiller, and I've always liked him. So for me, if you were going to do a diverse Doctor, because they're all about diversity, Richard Ayoade would have been my choice. But I don't, being honest right now, I don't know who would take this role, the White Wolf. As for writers, maybe that fella that was behind, I don't know, I can't pronounce his name, I'm not even going to try, but the guy that was behind Babylon 5, maybe, or Charlie Brooker, who did the Black Mirror series, I think would be a good choice for a writer. But I'm not sure about a Doctor now, to be quite honest with you. Who would want to take the role anyway? Girl Boss Sue Storm, Gender Swapped Silver Surfer, less toxic Johnny Storm, and the Thing's voice is terrible, says Nicholas. Well, that's not a good start, is it? Spin-off is part of the 26 episode deal. We do know that. That's what I'm saying. They won't be able to scrap it, so it will go ahead. I suspect you'll watch 28 Years Later. I will. Now, I watched 28 Days Later recently. I'm not a huge fan of 28 Weeks Later, but I'll watch it again. But I will definitely watch the new movie, because I am interested in that. But again, I'm a bit worried because the director, what's his name, Danny Boyle, is a bit of a wokey head now, so you never know what you're going to get with him. We got Lord Thought in the chat. Welcome. Bobby D is in the chat as well. If people get triggered, exercise self-control and don't watch. Exactly. I just wanted to get that out of the way. You know, people seem to get triggered by me quite a lot these days. Matt says they should have made a woke spin-off for the degenerates and left Doctor Who alone. No, they wouldn't be satisfied with that, Matt, because then they'd say, oh, we're being left down. You know, yeah, I have to see us. You have to see us. Peter Davison for showrunner says garbage. Richard O'Brien from the Crystal Maze, but he's too old now. Yes, he would have been actually an interesting choice. I agree with you there. It's a course role now, he says. I do agree. He's around 82, isn't he? Yeah, he is. He's yeah, I used to love the Crystal Maze. Who didn't? That was a great show. I know Richard did the updated version. I've watched it's not bad, but it's not the same as the old one. Anyone excited for the new Doctor Who episode tomorrow? Well, let's see. They're going to tackle racism head on, segregation, and we've got a poorly animated character, and they're going to be animated. This for me was the episode personally that I've been dreading, because personally speaking, I don't think this fits into Doctor Who at all. That's just a personal choice. I don't like the fact they're doing animation, so that's where I stand on that. Of course, I'll get criticism for that, but that's just my personal opinion. You know, I don't think it should be happening. I wonder what's happened to these guys now. You know, I was gonna wait till later on to do this stream, and I was asked to do it earlier, and now that I've done it, nobody has showed up. So I wonder what's going on. Let me check Instagram again. I'll give you a couple of seconds anyway to get a few more questions in. Garber says they love the Crystal Maze. Lindsay says I definitely won't be watching. Real Super John said, sorry, Super John. I can't get used to that new name. I've got to be honest. Yeah, he would have been Rick Maynell. I can never say his name properly. He would have been a great doctor. All of those actors that could have been are gone now. Says so. Hugh Grant, I think, would play a good doctor. Someone asked earlier, I think the White Wolf there. Maybe Hugh Grant, he'd be a good choice. Garber says, I don't like animation in Doctor Who, but it's not the episode I feared. This was the episode I did because I knew we're going to get another Rosa Parks kind of situation going on. Of course, it's RTD, so it's probably going to be 10 times bleeding worse. The original version of the Crystal Maze is a classic. The same with Fort Boyard. Yeah, I used to watch that. I wasn't really a fan of that one compared to the Crystal Maze, I've got to be honest with you. Lee just posted on Insta. Well, I'm about to send him a message, so, I mean, oh no, it was 4 hours ago. Okay, grand. We got PD Rich in the chat who'll be keeping an eye on everybody. David Jason says he's too old now. No, but Lord Thought is not a fan of Hugh Grant. In his latest movie, he's fucking deadly, man. You should check it out. It's called Heretic. And I'm telling you now, I think he'd play a good doctor. I dread the musical one. Yeah, well, there's going to be music in this one as well, and singing and dancing, and more than likely, he's going to cry again because that's all he seems to fucking do. Hey, Tardis on. I didn't even know Doctor Who, the show came back in the 90s. That's from the 99 Doctor. Alan Rickman, I think, was a choice if the show came back in the 90s. He would have been a great choice. I always wanted Alan Davis to play the Doctor. He was a name that was mentioned over the years as well. Fort Boyard did eventually have Tom Baker. Alan Davis, Garber says, oh no. Lady Thought Loves You. We saw Heretic. Heretic was good, man. I thought that was a great movie. The twist and all, I shouldn't say that, but it's a good movie. It's good if you like your kind of. It's not a traditional horror, is it? It's more of a psychological kind of thriller, isn't it? PD Rich says Fort Boyard looked very similar to the Crystal Maze. It even had Richard O'Brien as host in a yellow jumpsuit. Heretic is grand, says the White Wolf. The Tardis on Virgin Media is letting me watch over the chat. Virgin Media, don't even get me started on fucking Virgin Media, mate. Virgin Media, mate. We have Virgin Media here, and it's fucking awful. And that's as far as I'll go with that. Hold on now. This is getting a bit ridiculous now. Someone said Teddy. Yeah, Teddy's fine. Yeah, Teddy's fine. Teddy has been recently attacked. No, not by anybody out there, but online. Imagine going after someone's dog, but that's where we are nowadays. 20 minutes in, Garbage wants to know where are the guests. Yeah, starting to wonder that myself, But here, you have me anyway. We'll wait until they come on. I do know that Chris Bowlesrek was going to be joining us a little bit later on, so he will be here Tom Baker was the captain in the fifth and final series of Fort Boyard in UK. He took over from the professor. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that show anyway, to be quite honest with you. Talking about Tom Baker was recently seen out with friends enjoying some afternoon food and drink. I don't know if Tom actually drinks himself, but he's looking very well. He's looking very well. As you know, last year he was a bit sick. People were worried about him, but he's looking well. He was all smiles, and that man is just a national treasure. That's a national treasure right there. You know, love that man, and it'll be, you know, anytime I see his name trending, my heart always goes into me bleeding mouth, man. You know, so yeah, he's fighting fit. He's looking well, and it's good to see. Uh, and PD Rich was referring to the pilot episode with Richard O'Brien. Tom used to drink. Ask Problembeing. PD Rich. Well, we will if he shows up. Like, I saw those recent photos on Facebook of Tom Baker. Yeah, he's looking well. He's looking well indeed. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. There is. I must be the only one who doesn't like seeing Tom Baker as he is now. No, it's not that I like seeing it. Of course, old age, you know, when you do grow old, you know, and you get to his age, you know, obviously you do worry and stuff. But look, he had a big smile on his face. He seemed like he was enjoying himself. He could still walk. He had his walking stick, but he's still walking around. You know, he seems to be keeping fit. You know, he was out, had a meal with his friends. You know, and I think it's great to see, to be quite honest with you. The way I look at it is there's going to come a time where Tom is not going to be with us, right? So I think we should embrace every second and every day that he is here and celebrate it, because he is a Doctor Who legend, and you know it's going to be a very, you know, I don't even want to get into it, but there will come a time where we'll all be, as Doctor Who fans, you know, mourning a legend. So I will take every day as it comes with Tom Baker and celebrate it, because he is a legend and he'll never be, anyway, with us as Doctor Who fans. He'll never be forgotten and never will. His Doctor still talked about even to this day. He is an absolute, you know, he is an absolute golden boy, as I would say, of Doctor Who. So, you know, let's celebrate the fact that he's still around, and you know, and that he's still walking around, you know. You know, poor William Hartnell didn't get that, you know, after he left the role. He didn't last too long, Hartnell. And, you know, we all know what happened there. And that was very sad. Super John agrees with me, says, I agree, Noel. Tom also likes visiting local antique shops. Tom Baker is the Doctor, says Garbage. I agree with you there. Robert's in the chat as well. He's popped in. He says, evening, folks. Yes, nice to see the photos of Tom Baker up and about. I agree. You know, look, I get maybe some people don't like seeing him like that. But the bottom line is he's 91, 92, whatever it is, 91 years of age. Like, come on. If we all got to our 90s, I'd be happy if I got to me 90s, to be quite honest with you. Hartnell didn't last long. Troughton died when he was 67, and Pertwee died when he was 76. And remember, didn't Troughton die at a convention? Well, he didn't die at the actual convention, but he died during a convention. Ezra is in the chat as well. He says, "Hail Noel," and the chat, welcome, welcome. We got 37 people watching. I don't know what's happening here. Loads of people are here. Oh my God! We got one. We've got the guest that said he was going to be arriving late. He's here. The other two lads are on their way, but I can't believe that Bowlesrek is actually turned up before the other two. I thought the other two would be here first. But let's bring him on because I love having Chris on the channel, and it's been a while. We'll don't ask him about Frank. Shh.
Hi.
How are you? How are you doing, me old pal?
Frank is miserable, man. He's last I heard they were going to turn him into Francine.
Oh, no way. Oh, well, if he's living in the UK now, he that bullshit has gone out the window. We'll be asking Lee about that shortly. But typically, Chris, the other side and RTD, Shooty Gatwa, the new companion, and Juno Dawson have all had a meltdown. Yeah, they've all had a meltdown over the ruling.
That lovely ugly dude Juno had a meltdown. What a shock! Mm-hmm. Seems so perfectly mentally balanced.
Yes,
why are they having a meltdown, Noel? Did they finally realize they suck?
I'll tell you. I'll read it. Hold on, because I have to be careful. We have to be careful because it's still YouTube and it's an American app, and the Americans are still a bit weird over the whole transgender issue. So I have to be careful.
Not. Have you looked at their president? He don't care.
Well,
Google might be in trouble, Noel, because they got a monopoly. So, that was ruled on yesterday. So, but yes, carry on.
Right. So, where's this post? So the UK. Where is it? Jesus, hold on. I'll have to go into me feckin' photos. I didn't really want to bring this up, but I know it's going to be talked about. So this is why they've
brought it up.
Yeah, I know. I knew it was going to be brought up though. I might as well have preempted. So the UK Supreme Court backs biological definition of a woman. Transgender women with gender recognition certificates are not included, says judges. And then the new companion, Varada, I live in a shoe, said. What a sad, hateful bunch of humans. What a disgrace to this country. I'm sorry to my beautiful trans family. You are so loved. RTD's response was, trans people aren't a debate. We're human beings. Nobody has ever said that, RTD. A bit of gaslighting there. And of course,
we're claiming that they're not human beings. Okay, then what are they, RTD? I'm like, I'm convinced that you're a lizard from another planet, but who said that?
Of course, Juno Dawson's response to it has been absolutely hilarious in my opinion, because Juno
Dawson in jail for her books. That's disgusting.
Yeah, but do you know why I laugh?
Trying to teach kids about eating poop.
Yeah. Yes. But Juno Dawson's reaction to this, in my opinion, is actually funny. For the simple fact is, remember, Juno Dawson's the one that said being gay was a consolation prize. But this is what Juno Dawson had to say. While judges and obsessed transphobes spend millions deciding what the word woman means, I want every trans person and their friends to get offline and go for a cup of tea and a little cake. I am a woman today.
We're going to stop it right there. Yes, get offline. Thank you. Well, we don't have to deal with them anymore because they hide over an X.
Yeah, but listen to this.
Blue Sky.
Yeah, they're all over on Blue Sky, but listen to this reaction. Listen to the second part. I am a woman today. I was a woman yesterday, and I'll be a woman tomorrow. A judge who would never hear from a single trans person doesn't know us better than we know ourselves. We are who we say we are, and they are very sad people.
Well,
and Shooty is also...
I'm a carrot, Noel. I've said this before. I'm a carrot. Yeah. I say I'm a carrot. I'm a carrot. Give me... Don't give me to RTD or Juno because I don't know what they. I don't want to know what they do to me because I'm a carrot. But I'm a carrot, and I wear my carrot sunglasses for my non-existent carrot eyes. I live on Carrot Island, and my best friend is a turtle named Mr. Fizzy.
Right, but here's what I want to say because this is pretty relevant right now. All of these people are connected with Doctor Who right now at the moment. Now, obviously, there is speculation surrounding the future of Doctor Who. I'm just going to say this now. Thanks to this meltdown, if there was any chance of Doctor Who continuing, I think they've all added the final nail to the coffin. Even Shooty Gatwa has come out and left some comments. So every single one of them that are connected with this show have had an absolute meltdown. Now, we do have our other two guests who have finally joined us 32 minutes late. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Never on time.
Yeah, you're never on time. You said you weren't going to be on time. Anyway, doesn't matter. They're here, and that's the point. So we've got Problembeing here.
Send the invites earlier and tell us.
I did. I did. I sent you a message, and I sent Jack a message. Hold on, let me finish. I sent the emails, and then I sent you and Jack a message, and Jack can check his messages, and you can check your messages on Instagram. And I said I had sent you the email. Right. Well, so not my fault. So not my fault. Thank you. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Anyway, let's bring on Jack. He's here as well. I mean, RTD. It could be RTD. We don't know with Jack. We'll see. We'll see if RTD. Hey, RTD.
Hi, I'm here as well.
Oh, Jack is here as well. All right. He doesn't want to do an RTD impression. I don't blame you, mate.
Well, no, because there's someone who's doing better ones and also someone who's copying me.
Nah, he's not doing better than you. I've sent you messages. I think you do RTD better. Anyway, we got President Lemon in the chat as well. And we got in the chat. I can never say that properly, so sorry about that. And we've got Window Box Station, which I've never heard of before. But welcome, Window Box Station. I like that name. But I supposedly I want to start with you because obviously, you know, let's be honest, the TQ Plus hasn't been very good to the the so-called gay community. You don't believe in community, so we'll just say the so-called gay community. But what did you think of the ruling and the decision of the UK Supreme Court?
Well, I mean, it's ridiculous that we even have to have that. Quite honestly, it's like, how on earth do we get to the point where
Lee, you're very low.
Court in the land has to tell you what a woman is? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we've known thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But hey ho. But yeah, it's a victory for common sense. You know, you can sit there and complain all you like. You know, we know ourselves better than anyone. No, you don't. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't. Like, I can sit here and say, oh, I identify as a billionaire. I expect to be treated as such. Give me all your money. Why not? Where's the rule?
Oh,
you're a rabbit.
Oh, and I'm a carrot. Oh, I'm screwed.
Oh yeah, I'm coming for you, man.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to identify as a two-spirited penguin.
I'm going to identify as a Panasonic TV, so I'm on fire.
Now listen. Now listen. We're going to listen. This Sony Panasonic thing between you and Lee now, right? It's been going on for years, right? Yeah. The bottom line is Sony's better than Panasonic, so that's the argument over.
Guys,
right?
They're both Japanese and they both hate you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no. Panasonic hates us because they ran away. Yes, folks. In case you haven't been following, Lee and I have been this fight has been going on since like 2019, and I will not acquiesce ever.
I love it though because it's gone on this long and it's just fucking hilarious now at this stage. But back to this.
I just like to say, just tell a story. So So recently. Panasonic took a quick look at the Sony Bravia 9 and the upcoming either Bravia 10 or 11, and they pooped themselves and they ran away again. Meh.
I want to address something to Sony though. Maybe you should consider releasing some games for your PlayStation 5 before you expect us to pay $700 for a new version.
But for clarification,
I agree with you.
In their defense, yes, Sony Entertainment is a separate division from Sony Electronics. But yes, Jack, I have not bought either new console because the prices are still absolutely insane. I don't have time to
more secondhand.
No, I've learned the hard way not to buy secondhand. See, the problem, Jack, is these things have a self-destruct mechanism built in. Anything with an optical drive does. So I still have my PS4 Slim and my Xbox One Series S.
I have the PlayStation 4, and there's still a lot more games. Obviously, so people are still playing the PlayStation 4. There's a lot of people still playing the PlayStation 4.
Well, yeah, because like graphically, there's almost no difference.
There isn't.
Hey, no, my phone just fixed itself. Although this is so, in case you weren't following on Twitter today, I would put my phone down for a second and turned it back on. It had the a black square, which means that you've got it's a failing OLED panel, because yes, your smartphones are little mini OLED panels, which Sony does better than Panasonic. But anyways, the box went away. So this is both good and bad news. It means that for now, the little black box of death is gone. But what it means is my my old Panasonic, because I'm refusing to upgrade to another one until this is dead. It's an S21.
Oh, wait, what's that? Robert Payne says, I worked at a Sony factory once where we built Dell products using Panasonic circuit boards.
Well, that's why that's why Dell computers exploded.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Everything explodes that you don't like.
Right, lads. You two have to settle this once and for all now, right? This has been going on for too long with this Sony Panasonic debate, right?
Well,
okay.
I'm going to end the debate for now. I will end the debate when certain parties on the stream admit that Panasonic ran away from the market 10 years ago like a scared little bitch, came back. Now they're looking at selling their TV division because they looked at the Bravia 9 and cried. Okay, so
all I'll say is Canada.
We're gonna take that away. Okay, we're gonna do something else. So just give me a sec.
Yeah,
Canada.
No.
He's not supposed to be here right now.
You're a bunch of whining little maggots who can't stand quality products. Like
I've declared this over. It's just a minute. Okay, go back to save Frank. There he is.
Oh, fuck's sake! Here's Frank. Francine, by the way, do you want to change Frank to Francine? Oh my! President Lemon says they stand with Panasonic. Nicholas Horton is Sony. Actually, who do you support in this electronic debate? Do you support Problembeing and Panasonic, or do you support Bowlesrek and Sony? Let us know in the chat. It's 1-1 so far there with the support. But Jack, nice to have you on board, my good friend. How have you been doing? And did you watch the latest shit show that's called Doctor Who?
No, I've got far too much depression and anxiety in my life at the moment, and I don't need any more.
Good. Well,
sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but you're absolutely right. The first episode was depressing as fuck. I mean, it broke me.
Depressing. It was awful.
It was evil.
I know it was. It was the worst thing. I thought The Timeless Child was bad. I really did, but this actually did. It actually really spiteful. Angered me. It was spiteful. Yeah.
It was just hate-filled propaganda. I've never seen such absolute bile in my life as what I saw. And it's saying something. That the filter is off, clearly. And I think this is just the first salvo. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And I'm not going to...
Well, here. I'm going to give you something here, right? I should have the screenshot here because apparently... the latest episode is going to tackle racial segregation, and so it's going to be right on the nose. Apparently, some outlets out there have given this episode
racism. Is it going to tackle his racism?
Probably not. But this episode,
he's above us. That's the thing. He's better than us. So he's exempt. Although I would ask RTD the same thing I ask any white person when they do this for attention, because they don't actually believe it. I've said this before. None of these people believe what they're saying. They're what we used to call posers. But I would say to RTD, and this usually shuts them up because they don't have an answer to it. I'm like, okay, RTD. So people of color need more opportunities. Okay, well then you need to be the example. You bigot. Stop stealing a job that could go to a person of color. They could be running Doctor. Oh, RTD, why is your entire production team white? Oh, okay. Well, you better get rid of half of those, even though mommy and daddy are friends. So they go away. I remember one time another YouTuber I used to call Creepy Billy. I'm pretty sure he's still around. So Creepy Billy was being creepy because that's what he does. And so then I retweeted this. This was years, I think like 4 or 5 years ago. And then I retweeted because Creepy Billy was going on about, people of color not having enough, work in the entertainment industry. And he's complaining that there's only one person of color in his production thing because he was an upper class twit that worked for the BBC, as far as I know, or one of those companies. So I quote tweeted him. I'm like, okay, Creepy Billy, you need to be the example. You need to step aside because you're taking jobs away from people of color because, as you've admitted yourself, there's only one in your office. So you could take the position of one of them. And then Creepy Billy got really mad. And his response was, how dare you say that? I worked very hard to get where I am. I'm like, Creepy Billy, are you a moron? Are you really that dumb? Okay, Creepy Billy. So
he's actually pro. Giving everyone an equal fair chance. Like
I have to read this out to you, though. Right, this is in relation to
the story of Creepy Billy. That was my favorite one because he got really mad. I'm like, dude, I triggered you using your own logic. I'm like, oh, Creepy Billy. So what you're saying then, you pots, is that you are better than everybody else. So Creepy Billy, and all your 20 years of experience or whatever the hell it is. Okay, so other than mommy and daddy being an upper class twit, thank God we don't have that in Canada. What have you done? Why are you better? Oh, okay, so the rules don't apply to Creepy Billy. Okay, everybody, Creepy Billy's better than us, and then you get when you kind of throw their elitism in their face, they don't like it. But that's what you do, folks. Whenever a white person starts lecturing you about that, use that exact same tactic. They have no response because if you really believed in this, you would give up your own job for a person of color. So just use it because literally they have no response.
He advocated for a meritocracy. Did you notice that? So you're the one who's pro all this equity nonsense.
Yeah.
But you just Billy Boy said that he's actually pro meritocracy because he worked hard for it. So you believe that people actually have to work hard for something?
Well,
I have a review. I have a review
because it was hilarious. And that's why I'm like, this
strange.
Goes back to what I say. Every one of these people is an absolute poser. They're doing it because it's cool. They're doing it for clout. RTD is doing this so he can get hands up at his elitist parties. None of them believe a damn thing. So, just call them out on it. They're a bunch of frauds. Not a single one of them actually believes what they're saying. Now Frank's going to
silence.
I've got the latest. I've got the before anybody else jumps in. Thanks, Peter. Fuck, just for a minute. I've got the latest. I've got the latest review of Lux. Now I'm going to read this because this is actually from an actual review from a journalist. The show isn't going to pretend that two people of color would be welcomed by the people in the 1950s Miami, acknowledging the racism and the segregation. The episode manages to address the historical context but doesn't make it a plot point. It would feel wrong to have a black man sitting in 1950s Florida without some form of acknowledgement. Now, listen to this part. There isn't much of a threat or mystery here, and the supporting characters are pretty poorly acted and written, but the way the story is presented is unlike anything the show has tried to do before. You'll be so impressed watching Lux flirt between the real and cartoon world, reality and fiction, that you can hardly care about the missing cinema goers or the dodgy American accents. It's silly, but in a way that is incredibly watchable. So whoever's wrote this review has actually admitted that the episode is shite, but trying to convince themselves that this episode is going to be good. By the way, Bleeding Cool, I think it was. Is it Bleeding Cool? They gave it a 10 out of 10. Beth,
of course they did.
Beth from the Time Ladies gave it apparently a 10 out of 10 as well. So they're saying it's poorly acted. You don't really give a shit about the cinema goers. Dodgy American accents, but this person that's doing the review is trying to convince you to watch it.
Well, Noel, you could take a cactus and shove it up your ass, and that would be something you've never experienced before, but doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Jack, have you anything to say on this?
I don't know if I should say it or not.
Go on, just be careful. You know you're on YouTube, but say what you want to say. Say it without getting yourself into trouble.
What about the cactus up the arse or the episode?
Oh,
the episode.
It's like Jack. I believe in free will. One can do whatever one would wish. It is not something that I would personally recommend, although it might be preferable to watching tomorrow's episode. I'll just say that.
Okay, I'll know where they're selling cactuses, so I'll make a note of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so tuned out by this point. I mean, it's just, I said I was going to stop watching after the giggle, and I meant it, and it just sounds like it's been the best decision I could have possibly made.
I have to agree with you.
I remember Jack. Sorry, I just remember Jack saying you can carry on. It's just that you said...
Lee, your mic is very, very, very low.
Oh, I hate this bloody thing. Hold on.
Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, go on. Finish what you're saying. Sorry.
I've lost my train of thought now.
Yeah, see what you're doing. Let Jack speak, right? That's why he's on. So let him
finish. That's why he stopped talking. Sorry, Karen.
It's taking a breath. Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, the man told me to F off before, he even came back.
True.
And that was because I called him out on his. I think it was because of that whole writer's strike, and he said, like, wouldn't it be a shame if these wonderful talents are making shoes? What that roughly translates to is, wouldn't it be a shame if these utter talentless twats who are a member of our cult would be out working normal jobs like other people do in that filthy peasant society, basically me. And I called him out on it and he told me to F off. So I should have done right there and there, especially after the whole Davros thing.
But you know what? I have to say, Jack, you've been vindicated. You've been vindicated because obviously you haven't watched. I have. Now, I haven't given BBC a view, which I've been criticised for that. Apparently, I'm manipulating the ratings. One person watching it somewhere else is not manipulating the ratings, but that's what I've been accused of. But I can tell you from watching,
ratings didn't matter.
You're absolutely vindicated, and you know what? Fair play to you for sticking your neck out on the line when you did, because the grief that you got for that, and the abuse that you got after the fact was absolutely disgusting in my opinion. So well done for sticking to your principles.
I got sent nasty pictures, but thankfully some other drama came up that drew their attention off me. But no, I'm going to say something that I know is going to upset some people, but I just think we have to come to a point where we just stop giving these people our attention. And I'm talking to a lot of Doctor Who channels who irritate me very much because, they claim to be on the side that, doesn't like the show, but that they'll constantly go out their way to hype for, shill for, and simp for it. And it's like, you guys are still giving it attention. And it's like, but I'm doing this content so that you don't have to. It's like, yeah, but you're still giving them a view and you're still giving it presence. It's like the only way this will stop is if you just walk away. And that's what I've done. And I'm sticking by that because I love this show too much to put myself through this shit. I mean, Lee can tell you, I've honestly wanted to pack away all of my figures and DVDs. I'm just done with it. I can't watch Classic Who anymore, so I'm desperately trying to get into something else.
Oh, has it actually... Sorry, Jack. Has it actually tainted you watching Classic Doctor Who? Yeah, the whole lot?
Yep. Because you have
Wow.
to understand, you guys are so lucky because you had a show before the show that we have now. I
Yeah.
came in with New Who, and to me as a kid, Classic Who was an extension of what I was watching. You know, I wouldn't have got into Classic Who if it wasn't for New Who. I only watched the Dalek stories originally, but then when Moffat shit became so insufferable, I just said, you know what, I'm going to give the older episodes a go. And that's what's really extended my love for the show as long as it has. And I said, you know what, I've got through the whole Chibnall era and I still don't feel apathy. I can brush it off. I can ignore it. But when RTD came in to not only stick that final nail in, but to basically tell me, someone who's been a fan of him and his work for my whole life, to F off and to insult such a wonderful character as the Doctor, you know, beyond the 5 years we'd already endured, I was like, no, fuck you and your show. Like, sorry to say that, but the whole thing's become tainted. And you know what? I wish I'd never become a fan in the first place. And the only thing that came out of this was meeting the wonderful friends like you, Lee, and all the others who, honestly, I probably wouldn't even be here today without. So, you know, that's really the best. This community is the best thing that's come out of it.
When I hear, do you know what though? When I hear you say that, and Daniel's in the same position as you, he hasn't watched, that makes me sad as an older Doctor Who fan that he's come along and he has tainted it so much for you that you don't even want to be a fan anymore. That's a disgrace.
I had a lot of ideas and things like for my own stories, and if I could bring the show back, I mean, I know it's what every fan loves doing, but I spent all my spare time at high school because I was quite, you know, I was the strange kid. No one liked me. So I just spent a lot of my time designing a Doctor Who video game. You know, I used to draw Daleks all the time in my spare time. And, you know, there were so many things I wanted to do. But now, honestly, I just don't see it anymore. It's like, I just feel like I've had a bit of a wasted childhood, to be quite honest with you.
Is there anybody
ever coming back?
Yeah. Is there anybody else in the chat there that feels exactly the way Daniel and Jack feels? Have you got to a point where you don't feel like you want to be a fan of this franchise anymore? I think that is Lee, that is absolutely heartbreaking, isn't it, man? Because we grew up obviously with an era, and Chris, we grew up with an era that was highly successful, let's just say, you know, and you know, we became lifelong fans because of Classic Who. But to hear someone like Jack speak like that, it is heartbreaking, isn't it?
Well, this is what you get when you have a situation where you have an entire production telling young lads that they're toxic, they're evil, they're bad people, they're, you know, constantly, which is and has always been the main audience for Doctor Who. And then telling an entire generation of young men that they are unwelcome, they're not wanted, they're hateful, they're bigoted, they're evil, just for existing.
Yep.
That is not okay. And for this last episode to delve so deeply into that, I've never known a gay man like Russell T Davies to hate men so much. It's ridiculous. The man's a lunatic. He's an absolute maniac,
angry man.
He's an angry man.
He's an awful person. And even 20 years ago, I remember watching Doctor Who Confidential. I'm like, I like the show, but I'm like, this guy's got an ego on him. And I guess you could say he looks down, and there was ample evidence and
elitist mentality.
Jack. Yeah, I was like that about 5 years ago. I couldn't stay. I was done with all of New Who. I ended up just separating it, but yes, it is different because we grew up with it. But I've been able.
He has an elitist mentality, Chris, doesn't he? He looks down on people as well.
Well, that's where I was going. Now, Christopher Eccleston is not against a RTD for the wokeness. Christopher Eccleston is just as bad. He's one of those that's spoken in favor of re-education for us ists and phobes. And his apparently his Big Finish run, which I've heard some of, is more toxic than what's on TV. But he said many years ago when he first started to come out with it, where he was treated like trash by RTD and friends because we know they were all upper class, they were elitists. Christopher Eccleston was treated like trash from day one because he's from Manchester. He was working class. The guy did not grow up with money. He's, it's very rare in the UK, but he was a self-made actor. And a lot of it was doing American movies where maybe not now, but 20, 30 years ago, it was still a little bit of meritocracy. So we saw this 20 years ago. Eccleston was treated like complete crap because he was working class. He wasn't one of the chosen few. I experienced this 15, 16 years ago, long before when New Who was just brand new, where if you'll remember, and I've spoken about this before, 2009, 2010, I had the biggest Doctor Who themed channel on what was then a much, much smaller YouTube. How much attention do you think I ever got from them? Even though I also had Amazon Inc., so I know I made them a lot of money. But as soon as people from the chosen elites, those that are still slagging their mouths off, came, suddenly they're getting the attention. Oh, we have the first Doctor Who YouTuber. I'm like, really, dude? Like, honestly? But no, this is how they work. It's an elitist thing. And the reason why they all believe in this, or no, claim to believe in this because they don't actually, is because this became the new cool thing. It used to be, how much money do you have? BBC at one point, it used to be making decent stuff, but it eventually became, okay, so this progressive crap, okay, we've decided that this now declares your status. So to be cool, you have to speak to all this. And you'll see everybody involved with Doctor Who at every level became an instant drone, almost out of the blue. And the odd ones that stepped aside, look what happened to Peter Davison. Look what also happened to Sylvester McCoy. Not as bad as Davison because that was swept under the carpet. But look what happened to anybody who spoke out of turn. They're elitists. They think they're better than you. My view is I don't want to see the show come back. I don't think it deserves to ever come back. I'm happy with my classic Who that ended in 1989, and we got a nice little Canadian movie, yay Canada, in 1996. I'm happy with that. I don't want another show coming back tainting that because the same thing will happen again. And it's part of, I think, UK traditionalism of elitism of the class.
Well, I'm just going to speak to that. I was just going to speak to that because I think that the Doctor Who fandom has always had an element of middle class elitism.
Oh, no,
it's been there since the 80s. It's certainly been through various iterations, and I think RTD is just simply one of those types. Like we see today. God forbid another RTD emerges from this era to take it on in the future, because I can imagine it.
Chris, can I just say, like, when you said you were done and you never wanted the show to come back for quite a few years, I've strongly disagreed with that until now. And I think it's because as I've moved away and I've gotten a job down where I live now, unfortunately, I do experience a lot of people like this. They look at me. I work at a cafe, so, I always try to do my best. But if for whatever reason I can't serve them straight away, or I don't, look the type, or I don't meet their standards, they look at me like I'm just not even worthy to be in front of them.
Yep.
And, it's I have to contain my anger with this. And this is just what I feel not only the people who run it are like, but the fandom is like. And on both sides, this whole right versus left argument has gotten old now. It's now a case for me is, are you a complete nutter bleep word, or aren't you?
Left, and Jack, one thing about leftism, this is leftism now is the complete opposite of what it once stood for. I think it's very ironic that your current government still calls itself the Labour Party. The Labour Party, in theory, represented regular working class people. Now it represents elitist hacks.
Well, they betrayed the working class because they thought the working class betrayed them with Brexit and reform and all this and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they threw the working class under the bus and went with the diversity and inclusion route of congregating these wasters. Go on.
The point that I'm trying to make is that, what, if this is how this show and how this fandom operates, so I'm working class, my parents are working class, like you say, I had lots of ideas and dreams, and even hoped to contribute to the show one day. But I think we've now established that that would never happen because I'm not a part of the club. So my question is, like, what is even the point in being a fan of this toxic franchise? It's just time for it to die, and hopefully something new and better will take its place. That's just where I'm at. It breaks my heart.
And that makes sense, Jack. And no,
I'd be heartbroken.
it's
To be
always
honest.
been a very there's and I've been a part of Doctor Who fandom online fandom since 1995, so I've been online since the beginning, and I can tell you that elitism has been there from the beginning, and I think it is in many ways a uniquely British thing. Like in the US and Canada, there is an element of that, but not so much. In Canada and the US, regardless of what they tell you, our values are pretty much the same.
It stems from a sense of ownership.
Yep.
And it also goes towards, it speaks to the type of person who obviously has some sort of, I don't know, something not quite right there. But it's not just an indictment of all fans, obviously not. But there's a certain clique. It's almost like psychopaths, they always seem to sort of gravitate towards positions of power and control, right?
Yep.
But it's the same sort of mentality where you've got people who want to be in the in club and will just like step on anybody to get there. And it doesn't matter how small a fish they are in the tiny ponds, they'll always try and eat the bigger fish, or they'll try and get close, swim close to the big fish. And it's this kind of keeping up with the Joneses sort of middle class fixation. But I will also say that I saw another YouTuber who was talking about he bought something from Character Options, and the twice he got sent, sent one back and got sent another one. It was the Third Doctor and Sonic Screwdriver set.
Yeah.
And both times the Sonic Screwdriver had a massive black scratch along the chrome because it's sort of a chrome. So he sent it back, and then like for months, or weeks or whatever it was, he was waiting for them to send it off for quality control. They said they had to send it off to China and all this, and then they kept offering a refund. So eventually, he just sod it, I'll get the refund. So he got the refund, and then he went to try and order again for a third time to try his luck, and he was blocked, basically blacklisted from being able to purchase ever again from Character Options website. In the comments where he posted a video on this, you've got the usual, ingrates on the comments mocking him relentlessly. Now, he does have a habit, I will say, he does have a habit of complaining about literally everything. But in this point, he did have a case, because you can see on the video that it's definitely marked. It's definitely substandard, quality control. So he'd been blacklisted, and of course, you've got all the usual types. All the Be Kind mob mocking him mercilessly. One of them was saying, "Oh, I actually phoned in to Character Options, this corporation, toy corporation, to tell them about your videos, and I'm the reason you were blacklisted." And they were proud of that. This is toxic.
That's what they're like.
It's not just that. It's like I review the Doctor Who figures on my YouTube channel, and how much longer before this happens to me? Because I'm quite critical of them. I don't just blow smoke up the company's arse. I actually give my honest and true opinion. So you can't even collect the bloody toys anymore. It's like without bumping into toxicity. It's like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, and Jack, and I could tell you it's been very eye-opening, because me talking about Doctor Who on a live stream is a rarity, because usually I do not do it. I have a rule where I don't talk about it, except for when the show's on. So for the next 6-7 weeks, however long this hell is on, I put a moratorium on that. But I still participate in other fandoms. I have since the beginning of the internet, and I can tell you that there's elements of this and everything, but Doctor Who is unique. I've been a vocal member of Star Trek fandom, X-Files, even Star Wars at one point. None of them even come close to, and I can tell the difference when, and I do not post as myself when I'm in these, because if I post either Bowlesrek or Cultivated Media, they'll get freaking swarmed, so I don't do that. But participate in conversations and like say I'm like, even though Star Trek's got its issues amongst the fandom, which it does have a very loyal non-Kurtzman fandom, you know, you can have discussions. There isn't really this elitist bent. There's like the occasional one that might come through.
It's a peculiarly
same thing with the
English
X-Files. Same thing with those. I'm like, there is some of that, but it's off to the corner. It's not completely all-encompassing. Doctor Who fandom has always had an element of toxicity to it, and now the problem is now it's even worse because all the regular people have long since walked away and they've been chased off by these people. So it's basically
well, that's it. Doctor Who hasn't died because of wokeness. It hasn't died because of, you know, any number of production things or castings or whatever. It's died because of the fandom. The fandom ate itself. The fandom infiltrated the production from the beginning. RTD, for example, is the head honcho of all that.
Yep.
And ever since then, it's been dog eat dog, backbiting beyond belief, and it's been ongoing. And it's the fans of this current era that have driven off many old, you know, long-standing fans. A lot of younger fans who didn't get on board the message have been chased off or vilified, bullied, and harassed into submission or silence.
Anybody who wasn't part of the elitist club, which is a small club, but they control all aspects. They control.
And we're the only ones that the production team listened to, or the production social media listened to and promoted constantly. And what has happened in the meantime is the show has fallen to 2 million viewers overnight, and that's set to go down even further as the series continues. And it's dead on the vine, and it's not just because of the weight. It's not just because of all that. It's because the toxicity in this fandom has created such a break from the classic series and the new, and even, you know, the previous New Who stuff to the current New Who stuff. There's been a massive shattering, if you like, and pockets are flung off because there is no room to even have an opinion without something being, you know, leveled at you.
And can I just say, this is both sides. I'm not going to name names, but I'm done with certain channels, and I'm just sick and tired of my generation being blamed for absolutely bloody everything. It's like, how old is RTD? How old are the people who got up my arse for, you know, trying to get you a copy of the 10th Planet limited edition vinyl? Do you want to tell them about that, or shall I?
Yeah, so me and Jack went to Exeter to try and get hold of this bloody vinyl because I really wanted to get a hold of it. I've managed since to get one, but I had to jump through bloody hoops. So it's a long story. I won't go into it, but it was such a hardship, and I ended up spending a fortune and not get the bloody thing until I had to go and get it online at a later date. But Jack just, you know, I didn't know he'd done this, but he'd gone onto a Facebook group of collectors, Doctor Who collectors, simply asking if anyone could help locate a copy, like if someone bought more than one, had a spare one or whatever, to sell it at a reasonable price, because, you know, if you go on eBay, it's double, 3 times the price, whatever. Not asking for himself, but asking for me, and saying how ridiculous it was that you kind of had to sort of gamble, you know, sort of book a train ticket, travel around trying to find a copy, and it's sold out instantly or whatever, especially if you live near or in a small town, or there's a place where there isn't many record shops that you can actually participate in the record shop day. And he got set upon by these sort of mean-spirited, you know, the typical sorts. Oh, well, you know, you can't expect blah, blah, blah. And, you know, oh, you know, it's your fault if you know, all this kind of stuff. And, you know, you should do this and you should think that, and you should, you know, everyone's got an answer for something, you know. But it was so nasty. There's just an unnecessary nastiness. And this also goes back to what I was saying about that YouTuber over the character options. It's just pointlessly nasty for the sake of being, I don't know, like feeling self-inflated. You know, it's this ego thing that they have to be, because it's so, you know, from the Be Kind mob, you know, because obviously they've missed the memo. But it's this mentality that they are sort of intellectually superior, morally superior, know more than you, are better than you, and you should know better. You should be like them. You know, Cybermen said the bloody same thing, but you know, they seem to think they're the Doctor, but again, they're more like the Cybermen. You will be like us, or you will be cancelled. You know, that's been saying it for years, and they just are so lacking in self-awareness. That's just sheer nasty, pointlessly nasty. I mean, what is the point of being nasty when someone's just trying to be nice and looking out for their mate, and these people just go like he's making a big fuss out of nothing. It's his fault. You're this and you're that, and it's just like, I don't understand. Like, how did we get to this point where civilization has devolved into this kind of mean-spirited? And these are obviously the same bloody people that will go on and moralize about racism, sexism, and they're just as bad as anyone that they criticize.
Well, no, it's and I could say this pretty much for a fact. It is, you know, I think it's worse in the UK than it is over here because it's
the class differences.
But it's it is like Doctor Who fandom, and I agree with Lee. You know, I think it was the fandom, and I think that and I've said this many times, I think the fandom is the one reason this franchise can never really make a comeback into the popular consciousness, because these people chased everyone away.
Yeah.
And sort of my the main thing, you know, the thing that I love covering is, you know, horror, physical media collecting and stuff like that, and that's sort of where I spend a lot of my time. A lot of my favorite channels that I watch all the time will not discuss politics on their channel. They don't even want their viewers knowing what their political leanings are.
And rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you can tell the difference when I'm like, you know, in horror physical media fandom, like, you know, I have fun. We, you know, we're all ragging on Scream Factory because they suck. That's kind of our big thing these days. But it's, you know, I have it, you know, we talk about the movies, we talk about the releases, you know, what's going to come out this month. I briefly venture back into Doctor Who fandom, and it is like, my God, you could be having the best day of your life, 15 minutes enshrouded in this fandom, and you will want to jump in front of a truck. I'm like, it is just awful. It's been like this for a while, but the problem is it's gotten much worse. And I think, although Jack, I think the good news is, especially with your generation, is I think Zoomers specifically, Zoomer men are really starting to be seen in a very different way. And, you know, you guys have not been spoiled. You've been treated horrifically your whole lives. And Zoomer men, I think, as you get to your the sort of the older half of your demographic, are becoming conservative faster than any generation in history. And it's because you're seeing what you've been through. You're seeing what's happened. And and oddly enough, it's the boomers are about to reelect the liberals in my country. RTD's generation and older seem to be the bigger problem now, because, you know, they're retired, they've got their money, they're throwing everybody under the bus.
I have done since the beginning.
Oh, sorry, what was that, Jack?
No, I was just saying that the boomers drew up the drawbridge directly behind them. They had all the cheap and free housing. They had all the free education. They had all these to get jobs. So they when everything you could walk into a job, they drew up the drawbridge. They changed the rules. Yep. Gen X was the first one to be punished.
We were screwed.
Whenever we tried to do anything, we were met with a bloody brick wall because of these bastards.
But
drew up the drawbridge behind us.
I think Gen X is I'd say we're the most bitter generation, and I think we have a right to be, because we followed the boomers to no jobs, no housing. A lot of the social problems we're dealing with now were caused by the boomers while they were in power. Gen X,
and there were less of us
approaching
as well.
50.
There were less of us. So
yeah, well, no, we are this out of the main generation. We are by far the smallest demographic. Yeah. And now we're, we're all rapidly approaching 50. Like at this point, I think the bitterness is even worse, because it's like, well, we've aged out of having the life that you guys had. That's never happened. It's a very bitter, angry society, and millennials had it just as bad. I think Zoomers, Jack and his age group, Specifically the men. I've never seen a bigger divide between the sexes than I have with Zoomers. It's kind of horrifying.
No wonder I can't get a girlfriend. No wonder I can't get a sodding girlfriend. They all want to pepper spray me just for saying hello.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but that's the reality.
Although it's actually, see, the problem is I think we're old enough because we're like old bastards now. I know Lee's 1 year younger than me, and Problembeing is 3 years older than me. I won't give away our actual ages, but we're fossils. But it's it's like that for every group. Like I'm glad, when I was your age, it was the late 90s, early 2000s when things weren't like this. But it's like that with every age group. I think but the reason why I think it's so much worse for you, I think when you get to our age, you've had the relationships. Some of us have been married, and we don't ever want to be married again. You kind of become happy in your singleness. But I can only imagine what kind of hell it is to be a 20-year-old male that is not part of that top 5%, and that is a thing. It wasn't the 80-20 rule. It wasn't really a thing when we were young. Maybe it skewed a little bit, but it was. I would say with 20-year-old men now, I think it very much is a rule based on what I've seen. And if you're not part of that 20%, it's literally get away from me. Then
you know where that comes from. It comes from a culture, right, where you got boys and young men being constantly told that they are potential arpists, that they are toxic masculinity. They're not allowed to show any signs of masculinity because it might be perceived as toxic. They are told that they should always constantly be on guard about themselves, that they have to constantly look inwards and analyze absolutely everything in case they offend the poor, dear, darling females. And then girls are raised to believe that they're total princesses and that all men are evil and that they must be constantly in the guard because they're all going to be attacked every 5 minutes. And it's our culture in colleges and universities. And then told that, you could also be born in the wrong body on top of all of that, just to add to the pot of confusion. And this is just a pig swill of shit that people have to deal with nowadays. And to navigate that, I can't even begin to imagine, because I wouldn't want to try and be in Jack's shoes today, because it's just so bloody unfair. It's so egregious the way that this social manipulation has occurred, and it should be absolutely stamped out because it's disgusting.
But the trouble is, the alternative is, we go super conservative, and I'm a beta male.
You don't want that either. And
but when you do, then you get RTD and that bastard going on and making a story about incels. Well, why do you think incels exist? Why do you think they go to idiots like Andrew Tate? Because buggers drove them to it.
I was just going to say, it's like, I don't want people to think that I support someone like Andrew Tate either. No. And I'm a beta male. I'm not a big alpha. I'm not good with girls. I'm, I suppose, gentle and sensitive in nature. So if we do swing the other way, guess who's going to get bullied again? So, I get bullied if we go right. I get bullied if we go left.
What we need is the center. And I know, Jack, I told you this last time we streamed together. I know it probably doesn't help. I know it doesn't, because I remember being your age and, the drives that we have. But the odd thing is, when you look at all these, we'll call them princesses, not very nice people that won't give you the time of day. There is a complete switch that happens in the 40s. And trust me, it does happen, where literally at least with my generation, it's going to be even worse for them with yours, where it flips on its head, where literally at that point, most men actually have the upper hand. But the thing, and the reason why you have the upper hand, is by the time you get to that age, say if you've been married, you've been divorced, you really don't want to get in a relationship. I think men are more comfortable being self-sufficient. And I see this with a lot of women my age who now, they've made terrible decisions. They were misled from society, but, you can't completely blame society. You chose to live the way that you lived. And now they're complaining. They're talking about this epidemic of loneliness. I'm like, you made these decisions. You decided to be a little, we'll just call it busybody, and get involved with physical activities with many people. When you did have the opportunity, when you could have attracted a decent person, somebody like Jack who would treat you decently, but 20-25 years ago, you ignored those people. Now you're in your mid-40s, and it's like, you know what? It's like you're not going to find anybody. You might find somebody who might want to engage in the physical activities, but in terms of finding a relationship, like, you had the opportunity and you blew it. That time is done. And most guys my age who are single, and everybody I know, including myself, has been through at least one divorce. And the mindset that I see now, mid to late 40s, around 50, is, you know what? I don't want to go through that again. I am perfectly happy being single. It's when you get past a certain age and those drives go away, it's awesome. You can, within reason, you can do what you want. So it's when you look at them, like, karma does come in the other direction. But the thing is, when it does come, you don't care. But a lot of them, when they're treating, young men like you like complete trash, in 20-25 years, the situation is reversed. And a lot of them will regret the way they treat men now, because I can tell you a lot of women my age do. And it's like, you want to date? Like, no, I've been there, done that. I've got the things I enjoy. Thank you. I would like to enjoy my last 20-30 years. Being single can be awesome. But again, I think the difference between us is, when the three of us were, youngins in the 90s and, early 2000s, things were different. Like, social media has destroyed it. It took what was a sort of a rule, but not really, and made it an explicit rule. I think dating apps have completely ruined society. We're headed towards a population collapse, specifically with our demographic, because people are not getting married, people are not getting kids. Women have been almost brainwashed to believe that, the fun is going to last forever. No, you don't have kids, you go have your career. And then when you can't have kids anymore, then you can look into it. And it's like the internet, smartphones, online dating culture, it has completely destroyed society. I think at this point, I'm sort of more of a neutral observer, just watching, everything go to absolute hell. But yeah, I know. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah, well, here we go. I mean, it as I say, I just think that, the Doctor Who fandom is just a reflection of what's going on in wider society. The divisiveness, the over politicization of the youth, to the point that they can only see in one myopic direction. It's so narrow, and it's so force fed, and it's just so parroted and just repeated ad infinitum without any actual thought. And it's all to do with peer pressure. It's all to do with conformity, being part of something. They've lived the most privileged times, but also the most difficult of times, because whilst, yes, we live in an age where there is instant gratification, there is technology, there is, all these manners of luxuries, really, that we live around and surround ourselves with. But we also live in a time where, it's so intensely pricey, and it's so aggressive, and people are frightened. People are living in fear. Everyone's looking for a convenient bogeyman. Everyone's kind of fretting, and males, right? Males are often just swept under the carpet. Jack was telling me about how there's all this funding for female autism, but autism affects majority of men, but more money and financing goes towards females with autism, even though they're a tiny fraction of the percentage.
Well, I've just been left on the street, had support a few months ago, and now they just haven't heard from them in weeks.
Yeah, and it's a broken system. I mean, it's always been broken, but the more the population in the UK grows, as we know why, the less people like Jack get the kind of assistance that he's paying his money into, as we all do. But I think as well, with the highest rates of males, ending their own existence, predominantly much higher than the other 51%. Is it any wonder when you vilify them to the point of obliteration from a young age? And this is going on now. It's going on in schools. That's disgusting. It's got to stop. And I would like to see more focus on that from, that being talked about. But it's not, it's for Doctor Who to use incels, a very nasty term, in an episode of Doctor Who, a show about a man in a box who travels through time and space, having adventures and saving people. And it's wallowing in this horrible, spiteful, evil, nasty mission to vilify young men because they have the wrong skin color, because they're supposedly toxic, because they're not gay or trans or whatever. So therefore they are evil. And isn't that funny? When Russell T Davies gets rid of Davros's chariot because you don't want to show disabled people as evil, but you're quite happy to make white men or young white men particularly evil for no reason other than because it's the current thing to do. It's so dated already. It's so dangerous. It's so vindictive, and it's unnecessary, and it's a lie.
It's driving a lot of, and I've got to be careful how I word this, but it's driving a lot of young men to delete themselves.
Yeah, it's an epidemic everywhere, and I think that the problem is, and again, it comes back to age, because I think when you've passed midlife, you have kind of checked out of that, and you just I'll just enjoy what we've had. But the problem is you have an entire generation of young men. I would say the younger half of millennials, all male Zoomers, all male Gen Alphas, and Gen Beta just started this year, but I don't see things changing there. What's going to happen when all these young men snap? Because you're looking at about 80% of the population. This is, something I think about because, we may be old and unable to do anything at that point. But what happens when you actually do end up with real civil unrest? Because you have a whole group where you've told them that they're garbage their whole lives.
Yeah, they're disenfranchised.
Sorry?
They're disenfranchised.
Exactly. And at some point, and you look at history, we've seen this. And if any of these people actually had a brain, they would tone this down, because something's going to happen. And sadly, I think it's in the UK because it does seem to be the most toxic. You make my country look like Happy Land with what's going on there. So I think it will happen in the UK. I think it's very close to happening right now. And what's going to happen when you have 80% of the male population, probably say 40 and under, snap? What's going to happen? Because you have mob mentality. Something happens. We've all seen mobs. We know how this works. This is going to end very badly.
But you know what will happen, because this is what the radical left have been training people to believe, that toxic masculinity and any response to anything that they do, i.e. the radicals, will be seen as and immediately labeled as far right and toxic. So already the argument is already put in place. So if there is any kind of civil unrest, it will all be put down to the convenient template that the straw man that they've created. Yep. Far right, bigots, toxic masculinity, and it will feed directly into that narrative. That's exactly how they've constructed this house of cards. You've got to combat that first. The thing is, you've got a situation where even those who are male, white predominantly, and young in the Doctor Who fandom who agree with RTD. And I can tell you now, and I can bet you my last penny, that they are not happy within themselves either. I reckon at least half of those are only doing it because they are compelled to by their peers.
They have to fit in.
They self-police.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're not happy. I don't believe they're happy at all.
They're not. You can tell because they're miserable all the fucking time.
Well, that's true.
I have a question.
And that's where they get their power from having a go at other people, because they have no power within themselves.
Yeah.
No, I have a question for Jack, because, you know, because our experiences have been quite different. You know, within when you talk to guys your age, Jack, well, you know, whenever you do you find that there's a lot of frustration, or are they even scared to talk about that? Because it's because you live in a world, because of your age, that I think the three of us probably couldn't identify with, because it wasn't like that. Like when you talk to guys your age, is there, you know, are they angry about this, or there's just a feeling of just general depression, like nothing's ever going to get any better?
A lot. I mean, from the people I know at work, my mate Connor, there is a lot of frustration. I mean, he's had a lot of tragedies throughout his life, you know, divorced parents and losing family and everything. He's been in the military cadets. He's really lived quite a life for only being 22. And I think just the frustration of everything, you know, and we constantly joke amongst ourselves, you know, ugh, you know, well, that's women for you. And, you know, I think it's not because we're incels, as RTD would put it. I just think, yeah, there is a lot of frustration, and I think, you know, me and him, we both kind of share the same sort of thing, as our mental health is just, well, it's fucked, you know. So I think that's why we hide it with humor and things. But I think if things don't change, in answer to your question, I don't know where we're going to be, because I just think a lot of us are broken. And
well, I just
think that nobody cares, and I've spoke to you about it, Lee. It's how it comes across. You know, it's like just the lack of help that is out there.
Well, I think as well, it does speak. You know, when you look at that episode, how it focuses solely on the incel being the white male stereotype, blah blah, and it is everything about this show bloody stereotypes. But it really does speak to me when the toxic female is lauded as a good character, or she's a nice person, or she cares, or she's got empathy. And I didn't see any of that. Right? Her behavior. I mean, she was in a relationship with this character, and then 17 years later, she's living in a shared house with a landlord she hates, because obviously he's white and male, with a housemate she doesn't like, who's also white male. And she works as a nurse in a hospital, and she treats patients like garbage because he's a white male. And then I don't see any sort of hint of her being in a relationship either. Is she an incel? Why is it only men who are classed as incels?
Because that's who you're allowed to hate.
Because she comes across.
You say that to any other group, it's basically a hate crime.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're allowed to say all these buzzwords and all these nasty terms like turf, you know, far right and bigot, and all these other sort of words, completely, you know, without any threat of someone knocking at their door, and they get away with that, and that has allowed them to be able to not only get away with it, but to do more and more and more of it, because they are untouchable and they know it. Whereas everyone else has to be constantly on their guard, and they love it, and they go to try and draw you out. You snap, you get a knock on your door. That's a power imbalance, and that's exactly what they want. But again, you know, female characters, you can't seem to get the sort of toxic variety there. Absolutely Fabulous was a BBC show that absolutely focused, but written by a woman, edited by a woman, and acted by women, doing toxic women stuff. And it was fantastic. It was funny. Never going to see the likes of that on BBC ever again, because it goes against the narrative. I'm surprised it hasn't been cancelled, you know. But yeah, I think that all this focus on toxic masculinity and not a single whiff of toxic femininity, unless, of course, you're Juno Dawson calling all those wonderful women outside of the Supreme Court bigots You know, or even Varadu Setu
actually,
saying
the
that these
funny
women
thing, Lee,
are a disgrace to the country. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Well, I think they unintentionally they are showing toxic femininity. They're just glorifying it. I'm like,
Yep.
Dr. Nutty's new assistant, who I have categorized as diversity hire number 6. Tell me where diversity number 5 came from in the chat, if you remember back to my old videos, then where that comes from. But this character is just completely insufferable, like hateful, like it's like. But they're looking at these as positive traits. These are not positive traits. This is not a nice person.
So they've elevated a toxic female character as virtuous, and
Yep.
they've diminished the character of the Doctor into this insufferable toe rag. And boys got no positive role model, and the girls have got no positive role model, because it's all created in this weird image, this self-reflection of RTD's insane idea. And it's all toxic. And yet they're the ones sitting in judgment over their audience and wondering where the hell we've all gone to. You know, it's that lack of self-awareness or that self-critiquing, which is ironic because everything that they believe is so-called critical theory, but they don't seem to apply that to themselves in any particular way. And I was defending you actually in your video there, Chris, because there were people saying you were racist and you were racist, and I said, well, show me where it's racist. So they listed all these timestamps of every time you called them diversity high, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, that's not racist. That's the BBC's racist agenda to, categorize everyone by the color of their skin and race. And
exactly.
Race is nonsense anyway, because it's just a 17th century and 18th
And if you call a person of color as well, in my opinion, that's racist. They're a black person or whatever.
It's different than saying colored person, which is, considered racist,
well, it was considered racist, but
But they just rearranged the words and suddenly it's all right. Well, but I just think, I did point out, it's not racist. I actually sent a link to the policy, the DEI policy. So it's not. It's just saying that they're a diversity hire. It's not racist because it's in their policy. They are hired because they have to hire a certain number of people of a certain ethnic background.
Demographic,
right?
Background.
So how is it racist to point out this racist policy?
Well, they're also not even following their own policy because the main cast is now 100% non-white, and the ultimate. I think the way we were headed before the woke time started. Is we get to a point where race isn't even really acknowledged, which I do think in the 90s into the 2000s is where we were headed.
Yep.
I always use the example of Captain Sisko, 1993. I didn't care about his race. Most other people didn't.
No,
there were a lot of issues, but they were being dealt with, and we were headed towards being a raceless society. But then they flipped it on its head and decided we're going to do a complete 180, and we're now going to hate a completely different race. It's messed up. But yeah, and Daniel wins. Yes, that does come from my woke Batman Batwoman series. I miss those days. Those were fun when we thought that was the worst it was going to get. God help us.
Did we know?
but it's I don't know. I just find society is so broken. But I that Doctor Who episode, and obviously my videos now, I just do them as comedy and I yell my way through them because I can't take this seriously anymore. It's just so awful and hateful. But as soon as the line, because I didn't think they were actually going to say it, and then it comes out of the mouth, Planet of the Incels, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, can you just jump the shark? Your first major jumping of the shark was the Timeless Children. Now you've literally just alienated and insulted what's left of your existing fan base, or what once upon a time would have been your main fan
and unfortunately so many of them are too bloody stupid to realize they've been insulted, because how many male young Doctor Who fans are so-called classes incels, right?
Yeah.
How many of them? And they lap it up. Why? Because they're not very bright, I'm afraid. How can you not know you're being insulted? Are you kidding?
Or they do know, and they're just going along with it because, some of them are just...
Sadder.
which is even worse.
Like, in some degree, I can almost understand it, to a point.
Yeah.
But when it's so belittling to that savage extent, I'm sorry, you've got no backbone. You've got to say, no, hold on. You don't talk about me like that. You don't say that about me like that. But no, they lap it up because they're too afraid. And that's the thing. When you have a culture dominated by fear, all in the name of inclusion, love, and understanding and tolerance, which is a load of bollocks, because I've never seen a bunch of people so intolerant and vile in my entire life. It really does seem quite obvious to me that a lot of this is held together not by glue of kindness or glue of acceptance or inclusion and diversity. It's held together by glue of fear of stepping outside the comfort zone or saying the wrong thing, or you might be cancelled. And we've seen this happen time and time again. All these virtuous warriors going online, and eventually they say or do the wrong thing, and boom, they're out, they're gone, they're cancelled and destroyed. No matter how many times they've been virtuous, you only need to look at J.K. Rowling, big lefty, super lefty, totally on board with all the woke stuff, but she separated on one issue, and that was enough to see her vilified. Thankfully, she's a billionaire, so she can do what the fuck she likes and get away with it and succeed even all the more. And it's also testament to the fact that she's still successful and selling books and doing whatever, because it shows you that the vast majority of people who are still buying her stuff are not on board with all this. It is a minority of people who believe in all this radical stuff, and the vast majority of us don't, but we're too afraid. A lot of people, not me, I spoke my mind, but a lot of people are too afraid to speak their mind, because no one wants to be called all these things. No one sees themselves in the morning go, oh, I'm such a racist. Oh, I'm such a homophobe. Oh, I glorify. No, that's a complete fiction. It's a straw man created by these radicals to control and manipulate people into silence and coercing them. Funny enough, when RTD talks about coercion in that story, it's like, well, you are the one coercing people. It's outrageous, and people are just going to say, well, look, we are the majority, all right? We may not speak up enough or say anything at all in some cases, but the ratings speak for themselves. The merchandise speaks for itself. People are done.
And if you fans, so-called, want to keep on accepting this crap as the new standard, go right ahead, because I haven't lowered my standards.
That's exactly it. I keep saying this. It's the same with the merchandise. It's the same with, I was very unhappy with the season 7 box set. I thought it was a lazy, sloppy edition, and they knew we'd buy it because it's the most popular season, and they gave us shit. And now I'll call it out. When you're served cheap tat and you're told to be grateful for it, no, we deserve better. It's the same with the animations. They're shit.
Yep.
We spend money, a lot of money, to buy this stuff. Okay? A DVD or whatever, or a Blu-ray, it's the same price as any other Blu-ray or DVD.
I mean, look, I say I'm done, but I would love a Daleks Master Plan complete, animated, but with the animation style of the Moonbase. I would happily take that.
And isn't it funny though? I mean, you got the AI things that have been done, and all these progressive types are so progressive. Everything's marching forwards. Isn't it lovely? It's all progressive, progress. AI, AI, no, I don't like it. Oh, I'm scared. It's like, well, I thought you were progressive. I thought you were totally. It's amazing how suddenly they get ultra conservative when it comes to AI. But AI is a tool. And if you look at the work of Daryl Joyce, who does his own illustrations and uses AI to animate them, why don't we get him to do the animation for the Daleks Master Plan, BBC? Hire him. Let him do the illustrations. He can animate it through AI. Save yourself a bloody fortune. And it looks great. It looks better than anything you've been serving up. And people need to start calling it out. People need to call out episodes of Doctor. I cannot understand how anyone remotely, and this is not an indictment on any individual, any particular person, whatever. Everyone's subjective, I get it. But I don't know how anyone, seriously, can watch what we've been getting with this current era and go, well, that's Doctor Who. How the fuck is that Doctor Who? It doesn't even look like Doctor Who. It doesn't sound like Doctor Who. The
Brainwashing is a strong
Doctor
thing.
would laugh over killing an embryo and doing a high leg kick to go, yes, Queen.
Polish.
Oh God!
I saw that shit in the 1990s in GAY. You know, that's not Doctor Who. I'm a gay man. I don't want to see that on my Doctor Who. That's got nothing to do with it.
Is he going to do that? Is he going to do that to the Daleks?
Well, yes, Queen.
Raises, and the Dalek will be like,
the Daleks.
And the Dalek will be like, "What is this disgusting creature? I don't overshoot it before it gets any closer."
Oh, by the way, RTD, just so you know, RTD came out in response. So, RTD responds to Gatwa crybaby complaints in Doctor Who. You don't tell an actor not to cry.
Yes,
So he's still not getting it right.
No,
you know,
well, he's above you. He's above everyone. He has nothing but utter contempt for any form of criticism. Bearing in mind, this man is the thinnest skin on the planet. And when Jack and I were listening to an interview he did with David Tennant, and he was talking about how...
Do you want me to impersonate it, Lee?
You tell the story. Go on.
Okay. So, what was that show we did when I was born?
Queer as Folk?
Queer as Folk, that's it. So I went to a screening for Queer as Folk. And they let a whole bunch of gay people in, specially selected, of course. And then they all came out. The majority of them absolutely loved it. But there was this spiteful little bastard who came up to me and he said, "Oh, congratulations, you could write gay. What else can you do?" And I literally just said, "Fuck you. Fuck you." I mean, how much of my career is saying "fuck you"? Doing it
and that is almost verbatim, if not verbatim, what he actually said.
Yeah, because he said it to me.
Mentality. Yeah,
he said it to me.
Yeah, he said it to loads of people now. Fuck you, fuck off. You know, that's the mentality of that. And it's also, may I add, this is a writer, and he talks like a teenager. I mean, he goes literally and basically and literally, like a bloody teenager.
Lee, hold on.
Go on.
Hello? Hey, Jack. Fuck you. All right. Because he came all the way here just to tell me that.
He's an insufferable cock.
I'd say, "Oh no, sorry, this poor little child's leaving the fandom. Oh, I'm so scared. Whatever will I do?"
I want to ask you one question, lads, before we do wrap up, because I see there was private message there that someone's heading off soon. I want to ask you though, does RTD's career? It's a genuine question now. Does RTD's career survive after this shit show?
No,
absolutely. I fled to Channel 4, and there'll always be someone who's looking for something gay. You can't get more gayer than the Big Four.
RTD, just pack your bags, fuck off, retire. You're done, mate. You're over. You're a one-trick pony. You always have been. You are a over-glorified soap opera writer. You were interesting when you did Spring Hill, name dropping there. But everything you've done ever since is been gay this, queer that, trans this, trans that, LGBT, and it's all the fucking same. It's so boring. You are boring. You live in a bloody bubble. You're a Welsh ingrat who grew up, moved to Manchester, moved to America, came back a completely rearranged person because some bug got in your ear or up your ass. And then you came back and then you started this diatribe. And you're never going to recover from this. I don't care. You're done. You may be the toast of the elite black tie people.
Listen to me. Listen. There'll always be somewhere for the big T. Look, here's my new Daleks. I identify as a pepper pot. Wonderful, glorious. That's what everyone's looking for. So don't tell me. Look, you're only 11 years younger than me, so your time will be coming soon. Trust me. And you wish there were more people like me in the world. Bitch.
I think it's. I think RTD's legacy, say in 20 years, and hopefully this show never comes back, when his little club of sycophants have moved on to destroying other things, which they will, and they're not around this anymore because the show's dead and there's no.
Oh no, they'll be trying to bring it back in their own image. You watch.
Yeah, though I don't want to see it come back. But I think RTD's legacy is because for years people hated JNT. JNT didn't actively try to destroy the franchise. He was still there because the BBC wanted to cancel it. Nobody else wanted to take it over. He also knew it wasn't doing very well, which is why the last 2 seasons, he was producer in the name only, handed it over to Andrew Cartnell, who was basically showrunner in all but name, who did brilliant things with it and was about to take the show, and I think probably the coolest direction it ever would have gone in. People, to this day, a lot of people still blame JNT, even though there really isn't any evidence to that. It's just, you know, Chase had moved on, the BBC were being dicks. But in 20 years, when we're looking at RTD, it's not like JNT where he tried to fix things and had the humility to put other people that actually cared or knew what they were doing in charge. No, he will be known as the person who actively destroyed the show. It's
Alpha and Omega, basically the Alpha and the Omega. That will suit his ego, wouldn't it?
Oh my god!
I think his tombstone eventually will read the guy. He will be known as the guy that he will never be known as the guy who brought Doctor Who back again, because we're so far removed from that. He's going to be known as the guy who destroyed Doctor Who. And for so many people, even what were once, like I used to love the RTD 1 years, I think for most people, a lot of people, including myself, in retrospect, it's completely unwatchable because you can tell exactly where it was eventually going to head because all the ingredients were there. It's just he wasn't given full range back then. This entire, and say 20, 50 years, whatever, when they talk about Doctor Who, they'll be talking about the classic series. Even though the new series went on for 20 years, its legacy is going to be where it is right now. And I think ultimately the only parts of it that might become watchable are like a total of 4 seasons, being the 3 Matt Smith seasons and Capaldi's first season. And I think what helps with those is they haven't slagged it, but they have both completely distanced themselves from the show to the point that Big Finish has even recast both of them. But when it comes to RTD's era, it's like, sorry, dude, retrospectively, unwatchable. Well, it's like with The Force Awakens. We all liked it. Well, a lot of us liked it when it first came out. After the 2 films that watched it, completely unwatchable. The same thing has happened to Doctor Who. So, nice legacy, RTD, you jackass.
It's like David Tennant was my doctor. He was the doctor to me, and I finally met him at Comic-Con in 2022. And it's like after the stuff he said and after everything I've seen, it's like that's my childhood gone. And I know it's a part of growing up. You realize that the actors aren't the character, but it just can't help but be tainted. And honestly, I think John Pertwee's my doctor, but it just never really has that same connection as the doctor you knew as a kid. So I just emphasize how lucky you guys all are.
That's a difficult thing for you, though, isn't it, Jack? Because you did grow up with New Who, and now it's all been sort of tarnished.
Well, we've done a rewatch, haven't we? We watched RTD's original era, and I went in there trying to enjoy it, just be like, look, don't let the new stuff taint the old stuff. And it was just so kid show. It was so childish.
It will have its own charm in the future when you look back on it. It will, because that's what happens when you get older. It's for all its flaws, but you will still find something of value in it, and that will take you back to that place in time. But I understand, because we have classic Who, but your classic Who really is that era, and when that's tarnished, even the classic proper Doctor Who isn't something you grew up with. It was more like an add-on to you, wasn't it? As you were
it was. Even though I first saw it when I was 7, I started out with the Dalek stories, then the Cybermen, and then as my love for New Who went down, my love for Classic Who went up. But when the whole thing has been destroyed as a whole, you've even got Classic Who actors coming out in support of this, and I'm just like, this just isn't. This is not something that we can just in 10 years' time go, oh, all is forgiven, let's just start afresh. I
had to unfollow some.
I called out Miss Manning, and I called her a fucking sellout, and then of course I got a bit of stick. How can you?
Well, I didn't go that far, but I did.
No, it's the truth though. No,
I know what you said, but I did unfollow because I thought I can't see how.
I have to express me feeling. You know me, I have to express me feeling. So I did. I called her a sellout, and then someone says, how can you call it a national treasure? She's not a national treasure. She never fucking was a national treasure, right? The bottom line is all of these little twats are selling out. They know this isn't Doctor Who, right? So I'm going to call them out, and I don't give a shit who has a problem with it, right? They're sellout little pricks, and we're only in this situation because of all these sellout little pricks. Right? If they had called it out for the very beginning, we wouldn't be here in the first place. And and by the way, just one more thing, right? All of these fans, Jack mentioned it earlier on, all you little simps that supported this, look in a fucking mirror, because when this show does ultimately get canned, you're responsible. Don't come blaming us. Don't come blaming any of us.
Right? You lose your only claim to relevance. And I get that. And there's so many classic show people that I've lost respect for. I remember one that really pissed me off was Nicola Bryant, who I genuinely liked, and it was in one of the. If you buy the Blu-rays, do not watch the extras because
it'll ruin it.
Turn you off.
Sorry, can I just say? I met her at the same Comic-Con I met Tennant, and she was horrible. She was wearing a COVID mask. She didn't want to be anywhere near me. She just avoided me like the plague. She was actually horrible.
Well, no, it's Jack. What turned me off to her was on one of the Colin Baker Blu-rays. I can't remember which of his 2 seasons it was, where she's being interviewed by one of these elitist people that control the franchise, the one with the stupid glasses. I can't remember what his name was, and she never. And apparently, according to her, every second person at the BBC back in the 1980s grabbed her ass. It was complete toxic masculinity. Men are crap. Like, I'm watching, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're awful.
So why is it taking you 30, 40 years to report it then?
Because Jack, it's cool to report it now. Now the BBC is pretty perverted, so, but it's like, okay, so suddenly now you hate men. And I think
is it men who happen to no longer be around potentially?
Oh, probably. Yeah, there is that.
Convenient.
And one thing that sucks, although, and I don't want to put people's words in our mouths, but I think that a lot of the Tom Baker he's never spoken about this one way or the other, and you have to respect him for that. But it's when you look at former actors and producers that are no longer here. You get a sense that I know Philip Hinchcliffe is not on board with this.
No.
He's the only surviving New Who producer. And you could tell in one of the Tom Baker sets, I was watching an interview with him, and you could tell parts of this were cut out because he just starts railing on modern day political correctness because, he doesn't like it. I think Verity Lambert would be downright insulted.
You saw interviews with Terrence Dicks and Barry Letts and stuff during the rise of New Who at that time, and you could tell that they were gently mocking it because it was so clearly beneath them. They don't do it like we did, of course.
Well, that's the trouble with these lefty do-gooders, you see. Who go around telling you can't say you can't say this, you can't say that. It just ruins it for everyone.
I fucking love that. Where have you been practicing?
Oh, I've been doing Terrence Dicks for quite some years now. So I had this skit idea with Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where Yoda comes into Palpatine, but Palpatine is Russell T. Davies. So I walk in and I go, I hear a new doctor, you have Russell, or should I call you the Fitzroy Pum Boy? And he turns round to me and he says, Terrence Dicks, oh, bloody hell, are they still letting you in here? And then the whole thing kicks off. It was very funny. I was hoping to make that at some point.
Well, we have.
That was awesome. But yeah, I think what he was saying, if you do pick up the Blu-rays, do not watch any of the new features. But if you get any of the Third Doctor Blu-rays, because Barry Letts and Terrence Dicks, rest R&P, both of them, massive loss in both cases. Watch the documentaries they did by themselves, because it's very telling. Verity Lambert did a few of them before she passed away too. That's on some of the DVDs, which are also worth watching. I don't think Patrick Troughton would have said anything, because he always tried to distance himself from Doctor Who. But I'm pretty sure Pertwee and Hartnell would be quite disgusted with what's going on.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think Elizabeth Sladen had it in her to be this awful. She had a genuine love of the fans, but then I would have said the same thing of Katie Manning. So it's really hard to tell. But it just like the absurdity where it's the show that I watched for years about a man in a police box, and for me, my first Doctor was Tom Baker and Peter Davison. For the longest time, they're the only two that I knew of. And it's like this great show. How did it become this toxic? But I think to a certain extent it was always this toxic, just we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, probably more likely, yeah.
Your conservatism blinds you, Terence. Now you will experience the full power of the queer side.
Jesus Christ, man.
I'm sorry, I had to finish it.
No. It's I have to personally say, when this ends, I'm gonna have a bit of I'm going to be heartbroken, but it's what it deserves.
I will be. I know we see this very differently. I will be happy because these people will get what's coming to them. And what I would say, what I say to you, and I've said this.
Yeah, but it's not what we deserve. You know what I mean? I get where you're coming from, and I know we do look at this slightly different, but it's not what we deserve. I mean, we've been loyal to this show, even during the times when they were calling us all sorts of fucking things, and it's just.
Doctor's been dead for 8 years.
I know, but I'm not just sick for me. I'm sick for like the people like Jack and Daniel that are in the chat, that this has been totally ruined for them, and they can't look at Doctor Who the same way.
I think the positive thing we can take away from this, Noel, is when it dies, it can rest. And I think we can all rest assured knowing that these guys can't destroy it even more. I mean, who listens to Big Finish anyway? Let's be honest.
But I will be taking a massive piss on RTD's Doctor Who grave. That's what I'm going to say.
But it's like when it's
disgusting, like how they've done it. Although I think for a lot of people, the show that we liked has been gone for 8 years now. Like I know. Like that show hasn't existed since Capaldi regenerated, and by then it had been unwatchable for a couple of years. This is an
animated corpse with.
I still like. I'd say this is what I don't like though. I wouldn't like fans to fully dismiss New Who, because then we're kind of taking it out.
Well, we kind of have to. There's no choice. There is no choice. The whole thing has been taken. You can't separate. Unfortunately, you can't separate Capaldi from Whittaker and Gatwa. You can't. You can say, but you do that, and then you know exactly what happened. Oh, you just got rid of the last two because blah blah blah. The whole thing has to go out because it's just toxic from the brain up. Okay, it's just done. Tennant couldn't shut his mouth. He's tarnished his reputation and that era too. You can't. You just have to reboot the whole thing from.
And I would like that because I love McGann, and I just, it's a shame. I mean, I know he's going to be much older, but I really like him.
Yeah.
I would still love McGann. I would still love a McGann mini-series. I think all of us are in agreement on this panel that if they were to reboot the whole show again, reboot it with McGann, and then continue with McGann. You know what I mean? Then when he leaves, then. But who takes charge, as Lee said, because Lee did bring it up. in the last stream that we were on.
We need another
we have to
Philippines
be,
Cliff.
yeah.
Someone who is not a fan, understands good writing, understands science fiction, is intelligent enough, maybe has a background in science, would be good, but can write good adventure stories. Or not even a writer. Don't even be a writer. Just bring in a producer and a script editor and a bunch of writers. Don't have a showrunner. That's the worst mistake the show's ever had. Because you've got a singular, monopolar, myopic, tunnel vision, and it controls everything. You've got a distinct RTD1 area. You've got a distinct Moffat area. You've got a distinct... And it's so jarring. I mean, when you had the original run, you had an overlap and it flowed in. You had a continuation of a companion or a console room or the theme tune or the opening titles. It changed a season early and the last the season, the last one for the Last Doctor, and it moved into the next one, and it had this kind of nice sort of fluid overlapping, and it made it so much easier to carry it through. There was a through line there, but this has just been like chapter 1, boom, chapter 2, boom, and it's like 4 different shows, and it's people talk about Doctor Who is always about change. No, it isn't. It never was. Never was. At no point did anyone say in the original run, "Oh, this show is about change." Never. It has change in it, but it's not about change. It has too much. If you look at the original run, it has a line that runs all the way through it, and you can see William Hartnell in Sylvester McCoy, and even in Paul McGann. You can see that. You cannot tell me that you see that. Even in Eccleston, I can't see it in Eccleston. I can't see it in Tennant. I can't see it in Smith. Smith may be a bit more because you've got a bit of Troughton in there, but that's because he actually watched. And Tennant was a fan, but he did it like a used car salesman. I never understood it.
I'm sorry, but all the love that Peter Capaldi gets, I personally don't get it. I mean, I'll do an impression, but it's just never ever eat pears. It's like I can't do it.
It was the first season, because Capaldi played it differently. Each season it was on.
You've got 3 different Doctors over 3 series.
Yeah, his first season and Matt Smith were the closest you got to the classic Doctors. Series 7, Capaldi would have fit in with the classics. I don't know what the hell was going on with the other 2 seasons. But I think if this show ever were to come back, and I don't want to see it come back, I just want to see it go away, and I'll just enjoy my classic Who. But if it ever were to come back, there needs to be an edict. Nobody who had any involvement on any level with the previous version of this show is allowed to work on the next version,
including fans of.
Yeah, exactly. It's the elitist fans are always involved in it some way, but nobody who worked for the show on the BBC, nobody who worked for Big Finish. It's like, you can't have anything to do with this. I would like to see it sold to something that isn't the BBC and bring it back. Like if it does come back, and there can't be any political crap. It has to be apolitical, the way it's always been.
You can still make it like everything that's happened has happened but it's shunted off into its own pocket universe, or it's a divergent universe, or whatever, and it's never mentioned again. You can go and love it, you can go and watch it, you can go and enjoy it, but this is a new thread. It starts from either McGann, or it starts completely from an unknown Doctor of unknown number. So we just don't. And Jack came up with this. He's like, you just introduced the Doctor as well. Jack can explain it. I don't know why I'm talking for him. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
If I explain it on stream, someone will nick my idea.
Okay. Well, just basically starting from an unknown Doctor and introduce that mystery again. He doesn't know the Dalek side. Doesn't know and. That's it, and anyone can jump on at that point. It's like starting it's almost like starting with a sort of like a Pertwee-esque beginning, just.
But it's like, my ideas would never happen anyway, because I'm an outsider. I'm not a part of the thing, so there's just no point.
But someone listening to this might.
No, but hang on. This is the thing, though. Fans like you are going to be the future of this show. So if you've got that idea, maybe we as fans can try get your idea out there and help it be funded so you can make it happen, because I think that's where we're going to be going with the future of Doctor Who. I think fans like you are going to play a pitiful I can't say it, part role in reviving this dying franchise. So we're looking to you guys to save our beautiful,
well, I think the future of the show isn't necessarily on TV anyway. I think with the advent of AI, and I know this is a contentious subject, but I think the future of Doctor Who is effectively in your own, it's on your own computer. You'll be able to create your own adventures by just typing away prompts, whatever, and you can produce your own Doctor. Now, it may dilute everything, but I think because people want a more personal relationship with their show, or have a very strong idea of what they want to see, nothing's going to stop them from being able to produce it at home. And I think that's the future. You can't stop that. And I think it could be quite interesting, and maybe the good stuff will float to the top, and the not so good.
Yeah, the wokey nonsense from the wokey fans will be left.
I want to see with Doctor Who, and there are actually clips of it where they've been reconstructing some of the lost episodes with telesnaps and AI, and you can tell it's AI, but it actually looks really cool. I'd like to see. I'd rather have that than the animations.
It'll only get better. Oh, you can have actors recreating those. I mean, and then you could then dub the voices with AI, or you can sort of face swap with AI as the technology gets better and better. But why not? You can still produce those episodes and bring those voices and those faces back, with actors standing in and then sort of reenacting the scenes. That's a possibility, but that's classic. But I'm saying to move it forwards, as the show's all about change, apparently. That I think democratizing Doctor Who to the point that people can generate their own is where the new wilderness years is going to go, and whatever comes from that will lead to it coming back potentially on TV. But we have to stay guarded, and Jack and I were talking about this, weren't we? About the battle starts now, really, for the soul of Doctor Who.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. We're all exhausted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Don't really want to go on fighting. I mean, and the trouble is that my biggest worry with AI is it will become so oversaturated with crap that you won't be able to find anything good, because it'll be like scrolling through bloody Netflix. Oh, there's this version, there's this version, there's this version, there's this version.
I outside of like an exceptional situation like reconstructing the lost episodes, I have no interest in AI, and there is the uncanny valley to it. I don't think.
But I think
intuitively we know when that's not a real person we're looking at. That's why I guess I'm glad that everything I like is old. I could just watch my old Blu-rays, DVDs, and 4Ks of things I used to enjoy. I don't want to watch 4K. And you can't really compare it to animation either, because at least animation had a human voice behind it. You couldn't even compare it to reconstructing classic Who, because you still have the original actors' voices behind it. It's just it's a slippery slope, but unfortunately, it's Pandora's box has been open. We can't unclose it now.
It's here, and you have to either embrace it or fall to the side. And unfortunately, whether you like it or not, that is what's going to happen. And you either allow other people to dominate that sphere and to produce crap, or you take the charge and you go, right, I have to adopt and adapt quickly to this, and make it clear that there is an alternative to the usual elitist crap that is inevitably going to spring up and perpetuate itself as these people vie for positions of power to get control. And that's what's going to happen. And you've got to stay guarded if you still love, if you're still interested. I mean, Jack is worn out. A lot of people are fallen by the way, so I don't care, whatever, or too old, or just whatever the reason is. But there are still some people who are going to go, well, I want to see the future of Doctor Who continue and we have to stay guarded to make sure that these fuckers never come back again, or any of their ilk. You know,
that's it. Right, look, Jack has to head off and stuff, and we have passed the 2-hour mark. I did say when I started that I was 2 hours because I only get 5 hours a week, and I've already eaten into half of that already. Jesus. But do you know what? That's what happens when you have a great conversation, a great panelist. So if you want to do, use our social medias and use our shout outs, guys. And I want to thank you all for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time since we had the Scooby-Doo gang together. It's been a long time coming, and let's do this again soon and not stay away for so long. So I'll start with you, Chris, because obviously you're back doing your review. So if you'd like to tell everybody where they can find you, and we'll then go on to Jack there then.
You can find me youtube.com/Bowlesrek, where I am making fun and celebrating the eventual end, hopefully, of this train wreck with the adventures of Dr. Nutty and Diversity Hire number 6. So come enjoy my videos, laugh at them, enjoy the comments, because I don't have the patience for them anymore, but they're funny because people are completely unhinged. Follow me on the Dumpster Fire Bowlesrek X account or Cultivated Media if you want to talk about horror stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing Doctor Who end permanently in a few weeks, and I will be perfectly happy never discussing it again.
Fantastic. Jack.
Well, you can find me, don't know why you'd want to, but you can find me, Jack Rabbit at JackMain13 on Twitter, where I might just put up the occasional post of how depressed I am. Don't bother going to my Instagram because I don't post art anymore. My drawing skills have gone. And don't bother going to my YouTube channel because it's as dead as a doornail. Thanks for having me, guys.
Wow. I love that. He's just out straight with it all. Yeah. But look, that's your fault, RTD, you prick. Anyway, Lee.
Blame me for everything. Christ, I don't control this little Satan spawn.
Well, you should fucking control your fucking self, RTD, shouldn't you? And stop fucking slagging fans off.
Well, you should drink less.
I don't drink. Why does everybody think because I'm an Irishman that I'm somehow this drunkard walking around?
That's what
top of the morning, Tia. Top of the morning.
That's what you people do. You're very good at that.
Oh, we are good. I will admit we are the experts. But
Jack,
anyway.
you should do an impression of Noel.
Don't get me started. Right, look, it's getting to 9:20. I have to go. I've got a friend waiting for me on the PlayStation, and yous are keeping me sat in the second chair.
Oh, for fuck's sake. See, that's how you fucking make someone laugh. Yeah, someone else I won't mention tried to put on an Irish accent and couldn't do it. I fucking love it, Jack. He makes me laugh.
You listen here, Russell. I'm coming for you. And what you gonna do? I'm so scared. Oh, come here, you fecker. Oh, God, no. Oh.
Fucking hell. I should just get Jack on, right? Just the two of us just to do a straight away.
You should do an interview with you should do an exclusive interview with Russell T. Davies.
Oh, that'd be funny, man. Yeah, well, listen, Jack is welcome on. Listen, Jack, I just want to say this publicly. You're welcome on this channel anytime, okay? You're welcome on this channel. You're not alone. You have friends here, and you'll always have friends here. That's the one thing you mentioned earlier on when you talked about Doctor Who. The one thing that I can say as well is that I've met some wonderful people through this show, and 3 years are here right now, and of course I've met a couple of others in the chat there that I really care about. So we do have a little tight-knit community here, but you're always welcome, and you're more than welcome to slag off my Irish accent all you fucking want, because that's hilarious.
I'm half Irish, Noel, so I've had time to practice.
Right.
I'm Irish Canadian, so yeah.
I'm Irish Hungarian. Well,
for fuck's sake,
Jewish,
these are all Irish now.
Fucking French.
Dude, I told you that. We didn't even know. My brother did one of them DNA tests, and I'm like 80% Irish.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, that does explain.
I
Yeah,
wondered where the rage came from.
Right, Lee, do you want to plug any of your socials? Because every time I ask you now, you just say no. Do you want to plug in?
No, just go and support Drawing Jack Rabbit's YouTube channel. Well, actually, go and watch his videos.
Yes, do that. I
Don't just
absolutely
subscribe
agree.
to him. Go and watch him. He's great.
And I, of course, will be back on Saturday to do me live reaction of this racist episode. So come and join me for that. And we will have the panel next week. I won't do it on Monday because Monday seems to be a bit awkward for people. So we'll probably do it at the end of the week. And then that way, then they're kind of the review of the latest episode then, and then we have the next episode coming that might work out better. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something completely different tonight, finishing off with this stream. I'm going to get Jack to do his Irish accent again to say goodnight to everybody. So, Jack, go for it. Knock yourself out.
Right, and thank you for all of you in the chat. It's been a very successful stream. We've got the Scooby-Doo gang back together. Thank you to the one and only Bowlesrek for coming on. Thank you, Lee. And thank you, everybody in the chat. Please have a great evening wherever you are. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye for now, guys.
Please like... Please like and subscribe. Go on.
Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Lee.
I have to bring Jack on for a stream, just the two of us, and just get him to fucking put on an Irish accent throughout the whole.
So you have an interview with Russell T Davis, and then the following stream you can have an interview with yourself.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, we'll have to come up with the questions, get everything done behind the scenes, and then do it so it runs up. But that's sorry. Oh my god, it's so spot on because I know that's what I fucking sound like. I know, that's why I'm laughing. It's fucking hilarious. Anyway, there you go. Hope you've enjoyed it, Jack. No, seriously, thank you for coming on. Lee, as usual, you're a star. And
it's my birthday on Monday,
and it's his birthday, so
50 fucking years old.
Wait, I just heard that. This is your death birthday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus!
Half a bloody century. How the hell did that?
I don't feel that bad now because.
Will we sing happy birthday to him? Will we sing happy birthday? No. Okay. No. Okay, we won't. All right. Well, happy birthday anyway. What, you half a century now? Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus. Oh, well, I'm not far behind. Well.
And happy birthday to Dan in the chat.
By a year. Shut up.
Oh yeah, Daniel's birthday as well. So happy birthday, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and go check out Daniel. Daniel's doing the old wrestling reviews and all of that, and he does have wrestling chats as well. So
it's a lot easier to type his name into the chat now because it doesn't go on for like 3 pages.
Yeah, I know. It's wrestling reviewer Daniel, which is I'm still getting used to because I still see him as Scottish Star Wrestling Friends wrestle with Pop Culture, but I mean that was a mouthful. But yeah.
Good one, though.
Anyway, yeah, it was. He comes up with clever names, I have to say. Fair play. Anyway, I'm off. Thank you for that, Jack. That's fucking hilarious, man. All right, we're off.
Right,
bye. This has been the Tardis Talks, and I'll talk to you for the next one. Bye.
Goodbye, peasants.
Oh my god. Bye. Oh.